Nintendo. And first of all, I gotta say, what was with the robot chicken style in-betweeners?
I like all that.
I'm not really
That was
sure.
wacky.
They've done a lot of weird stuff.
Yeah, the intro
You
was
remember
kind of
Mega
strange.
64?
Yeah.
Did you see the pre-E3 Mega 64 video? Reggie was actually in it. They pretended to build a Reggie bot to infiltrate E3 with. And Reggie actually helped them make it. He was in it. He was the Reggie bot.
They've had some top guys like that in their show before, though, so that doesn't surprise me too much. They have a bit of pull like that, and Reggie just seems like one of those type of guys that takes himself so not seriously that he would just get a kick out of doing something like that. So
He seems like a really fun guy.
he's kind of like Ono from Capcom. Ono?
Yeah.
Yoshinori Ono? I think that's his name. So anyway, there's no point in even saving this for last. We'll get it out of the way because the majority of it was the excitement around Smash Brothers.
Oh, yeah.
And guess what? That leak list was right. We got the Mii's, we got Pac-Man. Now, if I'm not mistaken, they had a different female character instead of Palutena, so that is the only place. That leak list from like 2 years ago was wrong. But everything else that leak list mentioned has been in game, and you look at it now, it makes sense, because all these playstyles are all different. But you look at it back then, wait, none of these are fanfare. It's Villager? Really?
You had
Everybody wants Ridley, everybody wants Crystal, everybody wants Roy back, but no. A lot of excitement stuff around it. They showed off the 3DS little mini game version where you go through, I forgot what they call it, Smash Race? Where you go through this, it almost reminds me of that multiplayer Castlevania game that came out for, I think, just the Xbox. They have this one big map, and you have all the players go through it and do different stuff inside of it, only the whole purpose of this is you get these items so you can get yourself more powerful, so once the timer runs out of time, the remaining players, all the players get together, and whoever has the higher stats is more likely the one that's going to win.
I do not even know what you're talking about. I never played that one.
So that's an interesting idea for that, on top of all the other regular Smash stuff. And the Mii's are an interesting approach. I thought it was going to be like one static Mii type that just looked like you, but they've got a gunner, they've got a swordsman, and they've got a martial artist. So that's technically like 3 new characters, and they have customizable skills on top of that.
Yes, this game, so amazing. I think that I heard that you can't play the Mii's online, though.
That kind of makes sense because there may be something game-breaking about some of them.
That's possible.
But at the very least,
with the gunner, I'm sure.
There's 2 different kinds of playstyles online that they've already talked about. One is for the serious ones that's ranked, then one's just for the play, and that's the one where they say that all the customization stuff can actually come into play. So I imagine you could still play it online with that one.
From what I understand, you can play them online if you're playing with friends, but once you go into like the actual brawl mode or whatever they call it this time, I don't know, you can't play them.
The 4 serious.
Friends. Yeah. The 4 serious mode, no Mii's. Smash Brothers is going to be everything that I want it to be. I'm so excited for it. A little bummed out that I had heard a previous release date in July, and now they're announcing November.
And that's just for the 3DS version at that.
Yeah, a little bummed out about that. I'm sure the Wii U version will probably be delayed even longer because it was supposed to be out a few months after the 3DS version. Like, the 3DS version was a hold you over until Wii U. So I'm a little bummed out about that, but I'm totally getting both anyway, so it's not going to make too much difference.
There was a Smash tournament, which was kind of a big surprise because of Nintendo's reaction to tournaments in the past, but they seemed to really embrace it this time. Don't know what Jeff Healy was doing there, but whatever. And yeah, one of the celebrity guests, Zelda Williams, Robin Williams' daughter, who he did name Zelda after Legend of Zelda. She almost won, but not quite.
Who was she playing as?
I think she was playing as Great Ninja.
Was she like the only girl there?
Oh, no. No, there's 2 guys and 2 girls for the celebrity match, and then for the professional players, I think there was 6 guys and 2 girls. There may have been more than that, because I caught it long after you told me, hey, that they're streaming the tournament, so they were already into the semifinals by the time I tuned in, so there may have been a whole lot more people. They did that weird thing where whoever would win would go on, and then they would have this vote of who their favorite character was in that particular bout, and then that character would get to move on as well, whoever was playing that character. So,
but only for a fan favorite round. I don't think that had anything to do with the actual finals.
Of course, everybody getting a kick out of throwing Pikachu up there, even when the Pikachu was never... Gotta be the trolls out there somewhere.
Yeah.
But, yeah, anything else?
Amiibos.
Oh, we still don't really know how they're going to work exactly, though, do we?
Yeah, it looked like they were supposed to be some kind of bonus assist trophy that you could use while you're fighting an opponent, but it also, and this is the part that I really liked, your Amiibo can be used to train against. You can actually fight against your Amiibo instead of the normal Smash AI, and I really liked that idea. I thought that had some promise.
It sounds like a lot like how they're doing, I can't remember what racing series particularly, but there was a racing series that was supposed to study your every move on every track and record the information so that you could literally race yourself. So I think this is like a fighting game game variant of that.
Which is really awesome.
So when you run out of people that won't play you anymore, you can always play yourself.
And then I won't want to play anymore.
Then you'll find out how cheap you really are.
Start punching yourself and stuff, calling yourself a noob.
I bet I can beat me.
I'll beat each and every one of me. If you're going to quote Ash, you should at least try to do a Bruce Campbell voice, but let's not.
Yeah, the Amiibo is going to have some connectivity to other games as well besides Smash. They've already announced connectivity to it for Mario Kart 8, which is interesting because there are Legend of Zelda Amiibos and Pikachu Amiibos. So are they then saying that you can use these carts in Mario Kart 8? Is that what you're saying? Because that would be really neat.
That'd be some awesome DLC.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the other thing about the Amiibos. I have no doubt that they're going to use Amiibos as a way to release additional characters for Super Smash Bros. When it comes out and it's a huge hit, which we all know it will be. So I have no doubt that if it sells as well as everybody's saying it is, that they're going to use the Amiibo as a form of DLC.
And I'm fine with that. Matter of fact, that may be why there's some suspicious characters missing from the roster.
It's possible.
They may be bringing them back with those as testing to see if it'll actually take off or not.
Now, the only thing I don't like about the Amiibo is Pokemon. Because there are how many Pokemon? And they can potentially make an Amiibo for every single one.
But that is the franchise everybody says, oh, this would be perfect for this. So,
and Nintendo is going to agree and say, hey, we're just going to print our money right now. So I don't like it for that. I really don't, because I'm going to want to collect them, and I'm not going to be able to if they go full-fledged Pokemon with it, because there's no way that I
can't imagine they're going to make one for every Pokemon of every evolution, so on and so forth. I can't see them doing that.
I would think maybe the starters and some of the more familiar ones, like possibly Mew or Mewtwo. Yeah. They did also announce that you will be able to buy some sort of peripheral that you can use with your 3DS and 3DS XL to add Amiibo functionality to it. Sort of like the little disc thing that the Infinity and Skylanders already use. I mean, especially when they're using Smash Brothers, and they've already said that every character for 3DS will be on Wii U. That way nobody feels like they're getting gypped if they buy the 3DS version. Which, again, only serves to back up the possibility of DLC Amiibos, because you can use them for both. And then their promise of every character being available for both consoles would still hold true. Here we go. Super Smash Bros. For Wii U, Mario Kart 8, Captain Toad Treasure Tracker, which we haven't talked about yet, Mario Party 10, and Yoshi's Woolly World, which we also haven't talked about yet. So those games all have confirmed Amiibo functionality, and then at the bottom of the list it says, and more. So, and there's already 14 Amiibos that they've shown off. So I think it's just a matter of them not having them all yet.
Mass production and the implementation into their games. And speaking of which, Yoshi's Woolly World, some might consider this kind of a spiritual successor to the Kirby's Epic Yarn, and I can kind of see where they're getting that from, but it does look like a very different kind of art style even. The way they've got the lowered resolution makes it look like it's hand animated, and I love that. The look is amazing.
I really do too. Looks fun.
The Yoshi's games have always been my least favorite of the Nintendo platformers, though. Give me Kirby, give me Donkey Kong, give me Mario. I don't like the Yoshi games, and maybe it's just because of the Screaming Baby and half of them, but I just don't care for the whole egg-slinging thing.
The Screaming Baby's pretty annoying. However, I never played Yoshi's Island, really, when it first launched on the Super Nintendo. But when they re-released it as Super Mario Advance 3, I actually played it all the way through, and I thought it was really fun. And I think it's the style that allows it to be that way. The bosses are more memorable than the typical Mario fare. Well, I mean, you might not be able to say that anymore because it's always the same bosses in Mario now. So, but Yoshi's Island, I thought, had interesting new bosses. Not like the stupid boomerang girl from stupid Mario 3D World.
And I'm sure that they've got this whole yarn thing going on. They're going to implement that entirely into the new bosses, so should be interesting stuff. Yeah, speaking of Mario Maker.
Oh yeah, that looks awesome.
Don't know how to feel about that, but it looks really cool.
I can see all those people that have to use hacks and stuff to make those levels. They just started dancing right then as soon as they saw it.
There's definitely a market for it, but I don't know how big the market for it really is.
And it's not going to be one of their best sellers.
Oh, of course not, but it's still.
More power to them. I've already said it half a dozen times. I'm into the creator content stuff, so excellent. And I like the fact that you can switch it back and forth between the old style and the new style, and it doesn't affect the gameplay at all.
Yes.
Good stuff.
I was actually impressed with that. I didn't foresee that being part of the functionality, so that was nice to see.
And then you also mentioned Captain Toad Treasure Tracker, which I've seen some games similar to this, but let me see. What was the Zack and Wiki, I think, comes to mind a little bit. It was a Wii game that I've never played, but I know a little bit about it.
Well, Captain Toad was actually in Super Mario 3D World, and in each each world, you typically had one Captain Toad level that would net you an average of 5 stars.
But so it was like an expansion of those minigames?
I think so. I think it's basically he's getting his own game because it was pretty popular. I worry, though, that it was popular because it was a nice break from what you were doing.
True. But I do like the look of this.
It looks fun. I mean, I'm interested in it. I didn't see a single Nintendo game, honestly, this E3 that I was not interested in.
Speaking of which, that super secret RPG game finally has a name. It's a quasi-sequel to Xenoblade. Xenoblade Chronicles X.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So we got ourselves some anime mecha RPG action for those who miss Xenogears. And then codenamed Steam for the 3DS, which is made by the people who did the Fire Emblem series, which is kind of like Steampunk XCOM. Not a lot of information about that. Most of everything I've seen on it so far is still shots, but I'm kind of down for that. We could use more strategy, especially on our handhelds. Oh, but yeah, we got to get to the big 3, don't we? Well, 4, but this one's been known about for a while. Start off with some Zelda stuff with Hyrule Warriors, which is exactly what everybody knew it was going to be when they saw it, that it's a Dynasty Warriors, it's actually Omega Force, is making a Zelda game and basically fusing the two together. And a lot of people scoffed at it, but I think after this trailer, there's a lot more people going, this don't look so bad.
I'm gonna get it probably. Just straight up.
Yeah. Everybody needs a good time waster brawler every now and then. The fact that it's got Zelda characters probably only adds to it. And yeah, well, we're on the Zelda, Legend of Zelda.
Mm-hmm.
I guess we call it Wii U for the moment because we don't know them. They said it was all actual in-game footage, that nothing that was shown was pre-rendered. That was supposed to be the actual in-game stuff. So
bullshit.
No, I can believe it.
I believe it.
The Wii U is capable of some nice graphics.
It is. People don't give it enough credit for that, but it really is.
Now, the cinematic angles and the slow-mo and all that type of stuff, that's scripted, but as far as running on engine, I can believe it.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean the picture of the planes? Yeah, that seems fine.
And the big surprise that came out of nowhere. I mean, there's a lot of exciting things that came out of Nintendo, but Splatoon came out of nowhere.
I was really excited for that game. It looks like so much fun.
It's like Nintendo said, you know what, we could really use first-person shooter, but we're not first-person shooter people, so how could we make... Oh, and there you go. You've got these little squids-like creatures that can turn into people and then back into squids. They remind me of bloopers, and I know I'm not the only one that made that.
I totally thought it was a blooper when I first saw the trailer. I was like, why are they showing a blooper in paint? I thought it might be some kind of new video game company that Nintendo was offshooting from. I thought that might be their intro thing, but it ended up being a full game.
Yeah.
It looks really good.
Arena shooter that probably played too much Portal 2.
Yeah, I mean, most people know by now probably that I'm not the biggest first-person shooter fan, but you add some kind of arcadey thing to it to make it more about having fun.
And technically, this isn't a first-person shooter. It's more like a over-the-shoulder.
Or third-person, yeah.
But still.
It still looks good.
You still take each other out with the ink. Because it's like, first you're just painting stuff, and then I started seeing them actually start blasting each other with ink. I'm like, okay, well, you kill each other.
Yeah, I was worried about that too. I was like, well, that's going to be boring. It's just like freaking Mario Sunshine in reverse. But then they showed it that you can actually take out your opponents with the ink guns. I was like, okay, that's better.
But apparently this game has got a lot of buzz going behind it because it was like a day later, there's already a ton of fan art. It was just, bang! Here's the new Nintendo franchise for you.
It looks really good. I
instantly liked it. As soon as I watched it, I was just like, oh, this is awesome.
Yeah, well, at the very first, I was like, what the hell is this? But then the more I watched it, I was like, oh, I'm interested. Show me more.
A lot of tactical possibilities. And then I know this one gets squeezed out of both of you. No, don't do that. But Star Fox!
Yes!
Now, I was confused at first because I knew what they were blurring out when they were showing Miyamoto at the end of the Nintendo Direct thing. I knew it was Star Fox. I think everybody else did too. But apparently moments after that, there's actual footage of the Star Fox running somewhere. I cannot find it to save my life. So I have yet to see it yet.
I'm actually worried for the game.
I take it you saw it then.
I read an article that Times published before the Nintendo Direct, which they weren't supposed to do.
Typical.
Yeah. They ended up pulling it down, but of course not before screen grabs of an interview with Miyamoto about Star Fox. Apparently the game has been being worked on since the Wii. They couldn't find a compelling way to bring it to the Wii, so when the Wii U came out with its Wii U gamepad, they're like, okay, well, let's try it on this then. And to hear Miyamoto talk about it, it sounds like he's confirming that the controls are difficult to learn and that you have to sink a significant portion of time for a brand new game into learning how to play it, and that has me worried for it.
I had,
Oh, no.
I actually heard this explained. It's not as bad as you think. The controls itself are going to play like normal, just like all the old Star Foxes. However, it's going to be a little bit like Starhawk, where one of them is controlled by how you hold it. So if you like pull it downward or pull it upward, you're going to be pulling it up or down. Now, I don't know if this is the ship or the gunner. I think it's the gunner. But this will allow you to do stuff like bank turns and still be able to shoot at a target to your side. So I like the idea if they can pull it off.
I'm going to have to see it before I say that it's okay, because I didn't like the Kid Icarus controls. In the air, they're fine. But on the ground, sticking to that kind of control scheme, it was terrible.
I mean, they could just take it from the 64. Just do something like that.
Pretty much.
Please,
Or
for the love of
Assault.
God, don't redo the game. Yeah, or Assault.
I thought Assault was good.
There's nothing wrong with a throwback. We've done
terrifies
it a
me
million
that they're
times
gonna
before,
ruin it.
and they might.
God, I
never
will
been-
hate them forever.
I've never been a huge fan of the Wii Waggle. I'm not gonna lie about that. I'll promote a Wii game, because I love Nintendo. But if it's got that motion controls in it and it's mandatory, that's when I start having a problem with it. I still haven't beat Skyward Sword, which is freaking crazy, because when I get my hands on a Zelda game, I play it to the end, and I usually finish it in just a couple of days.
Yeah.
Those motion controls on Skyward Sword drive me crazy, so I'm not sure that's one of the reasons I'm worried about this Star Fox game, because any amount of motion controlling like that, it needs to be intuitive, and it needs to be, I don't have to learn it. I need to feel like, oh, I was supposed to do this with this game all along.
I think it'll feel natural for the most part, as long as they program it smoothly. And depending on what the action is. If it's going to be a lot of really tight corners and stuff like that, where you have to do some precision flying, that could be irritating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Be one of those type of things where you gotta move around in your chair, or you start feeling yourself tilt or something like that. The game's not going to know the difference. And you're going to go suddenly veering off somewhere because your camera control's all weird. So, I don't know. I think it'll be alright.
I hope so.
And that's pretty much how Nintendo ended their show. And no, we're not going to end ours. We've been at this for almost 2 hours now, but there's still a ton left.